I was in a coma for 23 days, during which I was declared dead twice. Hey guys, my name is Virali Modi, as you can tell from the title. Just a brief introduction about myself. I am a writer and a youth ambassador with Enable Travel, which is powered by Cox and Kings. I have been Quora's top writer for 4 consecutive years in a row. I am Miss Wheelchair India runner-up 2014. I'm a disability rights activist, motivational speaker, and I do some modeling and acting as well as time permits. So now that you know a little bit about myself, I think let's just jump right into the story. Many of you guys don't know this, but I have lived in the US for about 17 years, and I was there since I was 2 months old, and I was raised there for practically most of my life. I was a bright student. I was a happy-go-lucky kid. I was physically well off, and in 2006 I came to India in Mumbai, obviously, and I got sick there. I had some kind of a fever. The doctors think that I might have had malaria. They're not sure of that. After coming back to the US, my symptoms were of malaria. Chikungunya, I guess they really weren't sure, and I was having these fevers and these headaches. Like, they were not your regular migraine headaches, like not your temple headaches, but they were like a halo. And well, after that we went to the doctor, and the doctor said that it's probably a seasonal kind of a thing. It's probably a change because India is really hot and US is quite cool in that aspect. I took my regular medicines that the doctor prescribed, and nothing really happened, nothing changed. But then one night I started feeling really cold. Sorry, not cold, really, really hot. And I went out and slept in the living room. And the next morning, my mom comes to me and she tries waking me up. And as soon as she rubs her hand across my head, I don't recognize her. I start talking to her as if she isn't my mother, and I don't know how to explain it, but it's like hallucinations. So yeah, I can say this, I was hallucinating. And then my mother, she kind of just freaked out. Like, I told my mom that, you're not my mother. Like, my mother's dead, my father's dead. And I was just hallucinating. I went back to sleep, and my grandmother came, and my grandmother did the same gesture. And I woke up and I was normal. I was totally fine. Again, they had no idea why this was happening to me. And as soon as I got up to go to the washroom, I couldn't walk properly. I was walking as if I was extremely drunk. And when I'd go to the washroom, I couldn't urinate, and it was really devastating. Like, I would keep going there back and forth, and I wasn't able to use the loo. And my mom and dad, they rushed me to the emergency room, and the doctors did all the necessary tests, and all the necessary tests were normal. There was nothing conclusive. So they rushed me to a bigger hospital in Pennsylvania called Hershey Medical Center, and there they did a series of tests. Again, all the tests were normal, and they took me to the testing room to do a lumbar puncture. Now, for those of you that don't know what a lumbar puncture is, they basically take a needle and they insert it into the lumbar region of your spine. That's where they collect CSF, cerebral spinal fluid. That spinal fluid, it runs all through your brain and into your spinal cord. It circulates. So when they took me there, I was fine, except that I was having seizures, very minute seizures, as if like my eyes were blinking and I couldn't keep them closed. But other than that, everything was fine. I was mentally fine. And I was kept in the fetal position. I was laying on my side, and as soon as the doctor pricked me in the spine and removed the needle, they turned me on my back, and my blood pressure skyrocketed. And because of that, I started having a seizure and I vomited. And half of the vomit went into my lungs because I was laying down. And because of that, I went into respiratory arrest. And I couldn't breathe. And I guess because of that, I went into cardiac arrest. I was declared dead for 7 minutes. Now, if you don't know this, the human body and the brain can only stay alive without oxygen for about 3 to 4 minutes. After that, the patient is either brain dead or they're either physically dead. I guess after that 7 minutes, I was just laying there. The doctors tried revitalizing me with the defibrillator, those electric shocks. They tried doing that, and they tried it twice, and it didn't work. The third time, they finally revitalized me. They finally got a small heartbeat. Now, during this time, my mom and dad and a family friend of ours, they were in the room. They were in my hospital room talking to a social worker. And at that time, as soon as I lost my heart and I went into cardiac arrest, they paged code blue. And if you don't know what code blue is emergency, or when a patient goes into cardiac arrest. That's when they page code blue throughout the hospital. And everyone is running around, and my mom, out of curiosity, she goes out and she looks, outside in the hallway. And that's when she sees my nurse running towards her. And my nurse says, "Mrs. Modi, if you want to see your daughter for the last time, you better come with me." And my mom and dad and our family friends, they run. They see me lying on the testing table while the doctors are trying to revitalize me. And my dad just gives up hope. My mom was this strong woman. She never gave up, and she was fighting with the doctors, wondering what's wrong with me, what's happening to me. And I guess after finally 7 minutes, when they got my heart back, they transferred me to the ICU, and the pediatric ICU. I was on a ventilator, and I had a breathing tube shoved down my throat. I had all of these IVs and heart monitor machines, blood pressure cuffs, a lot of wires basically hooked up to me. That evening, I came into consciousness, and I was just nodding my head yes or no, acknowledging everyone. At that time, my family had also come by, and mentally everything was fine. I could even move my hands, and I could do everything, except I couldn't talk because of the breathing tube. The next day, they decided that they wanted to do another lumbar puncture because they couldn't get enough CSF. Now, at this point in time, my mom fought with the doctors. She said no. She told them that she was not going to allow them to do another procedure like that because the first procedure, I almost died. I was declared dead. What if that happens again? So the doctor said, we were not ready for this, and they showed her the room, the testing room. They had everything set up there, and that's when my mom signed the consent form. And after that lumbar puncture, I went into a coma. I was in a coma for 23 days, during which I was declared dead twice. So I know this is like a Bollywood movie. It's really surprising. During those 2 times, the first time I lost so much blood that my hemoglobin went below 3. Now, the normal normal amount of hemoglobin that you're supposed to have is about 12 or 13, depending on if you're a man or a woman. Mine went below 3. The doctors declared me dead again because they were scared that if my hemoglobin wouldn't go up, if it wouldn't become to the normal range, that I would die. My organs would stop functioning, and there wouldn't be anything with me. I would just die. They gave me 3 units of blood, and the doctors didn't know why I lost so much blood, where the blood was coming from. They did every necessary test, and all of their testing was normal. Every test was normal. They had no idea. So Afterwards, after giving me 3 units of blood, my hemoglobin still wouldn't come in within the normal range. Again, they were confused. After, I would say, about 40 minutes, just by itself, everything regulated. And they said, like, this is a miracle. Like, this never happens. And why this happened and how did this happen, we have no idea. Now, the second time, my body temperature went below 90 degrees Fahrenheit. The normal body temperature is supposed to be 98.6. Anything above 100 is considered fever. Anything below 96, I think it's considered hypothermia. Don't quote me on that, I'm not sure. But mine went below 90 degrees Fahrenheit. They were scared that I would get hypothermia, and that's why they declared me dead again, clinically dead. My organs would freeze if I got hypothermia. My organs would freeze and eventually I would die. They put heated blankets and heated lamps, like they surrounded me with heated lamps. After an hour, they took everything off because I wasn't improving. There was no improvement. And just after they took everything off, within 40 minutes, everything just regulated on its own. Everything was fine. And they again had no idea why this was happening and why this happened. They had no idea. Now, on the 21st of September, the doctors had a meeting with my parents, and they told my parents that they wanted to pull the plug from my ventilator. They wanted to kill me because there was no improvement. There was nothing, and they said they thought that I wouldn't survive. So they wanted to kill me. My mom, she literally fell to their feet. She fell to their feet, and that woman has never cried. During this whole ordeal, she never cried. That day, she held the doctor's legs and she cried, and she made his shoes wet with her tears. And I know it seems really sentimental and it's very emotional, but I mean, that happened. And my dad over there, he's crying and he doesn't know what's going to happen. And my mom told him that, Virali's birthday is coming up on the 29th of September and we want to celebrate it. And the doctors think that she's crazy. They're like, your daughter she's in between life and death and you want to celebrate her birthday? And my mom at this point, she's a strong woman, a strong warrior. And she's saying, yeah, I want to celebrate my daughter's 15th birthday. Because after she comes out of a coma, if she asks me what happened to my 15th birthday, then what am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to tell her? I want proof that even though she was in a coma, I celebrated her 15th birthday. The doctors thought that she was crazy, and my mom was very adamant, and they went to the Dean of Medicine and they got permission to celebrate my birthday. But the doctors said they had this ultimatum saying that if Virali does not survive post the 29th, then you have to give us consent to pull her plug on the 30th of September, early in the morning. She said yes, and she signed the consent form right there. Surprising. Well, the 29th rolled around and there were about 60 plus or 70 people approximately, all of my family, our family friends, everyone was there. And they celebrated my birthday. They decorated my ICU room. They brought cake, they brought food, and my bua, she did that. My aunt did that. She catered for everyone. Now, I was born at 3:05 p.m. on the 29th of September. Now, at 3:05 p.m., everyone surrounded me. They surrounded my hospital bed, and my dad takes my hand, and as soon as he cuts the cake at 3:05 p.m., I open my eyes. I'm staring up at the ceiling. I'm still in a semi-coma, and everyone starts cheering, everyone starts clapping, everyone is surprised as to what happened and how did this happen. Now, the doctors rush in, and the doctors are confused as to what's going on. They thought that something happened to me, and they cleared everyone out of the room. They did a checkup, they evaluated me, and they went up to my mom and they gave my mom a hug. My dad, of course. and they said, Mrs. Modi, Mama, it's because of you you stopped us from committing a sin. Otherwise, we were ready to kill your daughter. It was because of you being so adamant and you having this faith in your daughter. Well, after about 30 minutes, I went back into a coma. My eyes were closed, and the doctors told my mom that I would come out of the coma, but they don't know when, and they don't know if I would be okay mentally. They had no idea. Well, on the 5th of October, yes, the 5th of October, I had to go for an operation where they took the ventilator, the tube out of my mouth, and they put it through my throat. And if you see, I still have a slight scar right there. And it's called a tracheostomy. And after the anesthesia wore off, I came out of my coma. They thought that I would be brain dead. They thought that I would be mentally ill. I would have amnesia. They thought that something would be wrong with me, but nothing was wrong with me. I was 100% fine, except for the fact that I was paralyzed from the neck down. Now, there is a coincidence. My mom, when she was pregnant with me, the doctors originally gave her the due date of 5th of October. So that's why people think that this is like a second birth, a rebirth, or punarjanam types. I mean, I don't believe in it, but that's what people consider it to be. And even during this whole ordeal, my family, like I have a lot of doctors in my family, and they would come up to my dad and they would read my chart and they would tell my dad that, you know, Jitesh, she's not going to survive. She isn't going to survive. So you better prepare yourself mentally for this. My dad was so strong, even though he was emotionally weak, but mentally he was so strong. He told them, don't tell her mother, because her mother has this undying faith and this belief that Virali will live. Don't tell her. And my dad kept this to himself, and my mom, she had this faith that I would survive, and I did. I mean, it was because of my parents and their strength and the willpower that they had, this belief and this faith that they had. Now, after I came out of my coma, I stayed in the hospital for about until November. I stayed until November in the hospital. I was paralyzed neck down, and I couldn't even talk properly. My lungs were so weak that a scream would be like a whisper. That's how weak I was, and my hands weren't working, my fingers were not working, and people think at that time that I would have gotten depression or I would have been upset. That's not true. I was fine. I was mentally fine. Now, I did get depression, and I did try committing suicide twice, but that was in 2007, not in 2006. Mainly because all of my friends left my side. They thought that I was a burden, and my family, like my extended family, they wouldn't support me. I mean, I went to a party where my extended family was there, and I heard them talking to their kids, saying that, you know, Virali ke aaspaas mat ghumo. Don't hang around with Virali. If you hang around with her, no, you will become paralyzed. I mean, that mentality was still there. That mentality was there. Thinking that me being paralyzed is such a taboo, or me being disabled it's considered a taboo, according to them, which is not true, obviously. At that point in time, I was very emotionally weak. I was mentally weak because I did not love the person that I was. I didn't appreciate the person that I was, and I kept questioning everyone and everything. And I would crib and I would cry and I would tell my mom, why? ये मेरे साथ क्यों हुआ है? Why did this happen to me? मैंने क्या बिगाड़ा है किसी का? I mean, why? I'm so young. I was only 15. So you can imagine the mental stress and the emotional stress that I was going through. My mom, I remember when I tried committing suicide for the second time, she gave me the knife. I was crying, I was cribbing, and I told my mom, I said, मुझे मरना है, मुझे बस मर जाना है, मुझे नहीं जीना है, क्यों मुझे बचाया? Why did you save me? मैं क्या कर रही हूँ, आई एम बीइंग डिपेंडेंट ऑन यू, मैं कुछ नहीं कर रही हूँ लाइफ में, कुछ नहीं होगा मेरा। मतलब मैं इतनी डिप्रेशन में थी, इतनी नेगेटिव थी मैं, मतलब मैं क्या बोलूँ। माई मॉम शी डिडंट से एनीथिंग, किचन में गई, शी गेव मी द नाइफ, शी सेड तुझे मरना है ना तो मर जा, मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा। Why are you hating your life so much? Right now you don't know what your life is. You don't know what you're going to do. तुझे पता है तो तेरे साथ आगे क्या होने वाला? You don't know that. So then why are you thinking so negative? And the day that you start loving yourself and the day that you start appreciating yourself for the person that you are and you start appreciating the fact that you survived. You were dead 3 times and you survived. You're meant to be here. There is a reason that you're here. The day that you realize that, you will understand the value of this life and you will understand why you're here. So अगर तुझे नहीं समझना है, तुझे मरना ही है, तो मर जा, मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. I will just think that you died in 2006. मैं यही सोचूंगी बस. I don't know if you can imagine this. I was so emotional at that point in time. मैं रो रही हूँ. मुझे खुद को नहीं पता मैं क्या करूं. What do I do? I don't know. I said no. If this woman, she gave birth to me. She kept me in her womb for 9 months and she gave birth to me. अगर वो मुझे बोल रही है मर जा, तो मतलब क्या? क्यों? I want to live. I want to fight this. I want to survive. I want to live. बस. At that point in time, I stopped thinking. I stopped being so negative and I stopped thinking about everything. And I said, no, bas, I want to live and I want to do something with my life. I don't care what it is I do, but I want to do something with my life. And the first goal that I ever had in my mind was that I need to improve on myself. I need to think about myself. I need to be a little bit selfish and I need to do something. Because at the end of the day, कोई मेरा साथ नहीं देने वाला है. At the end of the day, it is me, myself and I. और कोई नहीं है मेरे साथ. And I guess I started reading a lot of self-help books and I started just focusing on myself, doing the things that I enjoyed. Going out to the movies, going shopping, whatever. I did this. I did what I needed to do. I focused on myself and I developed myself as a person. I grew. I gained morals. I gained this different outlook on life. You know that whole saying, the grass is greener on the other side, and it's actually true. I'll tell you one thing. I think this is just a rant, but people, we focus on the negative aspect of life because we think कि इसके साथ अच्छा क्यों हो रहा है, मेरे साथ अच्छा क्यों नहीं हो रहा है. But you don't know the difficulties the other person is facing. You need to focus on yourself. Live your life. Forget about what people have to say. Forget about what society has to say. I'll tell you one thing. Right now, everything that I'm doing, winning Miss Wheelchair India, let it be. I don't care if it's second place, but it's second place, right? Winning Miss Wheelchair India, doing photo shoots, being a disability rights activist, doing all of this. Believe me, I've got my fair share of crap from people. A lot of people have tried to put me down. A lot of people have been pulling my leg, metaphorically. Sorry, that was a pun, I'm sorry. People have been pulling my leg and people have been trying to discourage me along the way. I did not let that affect me. Because ultimately, those people at the end of the day, they don't matter. They're not feeding me and they're not financing me. The people that are my parents. And I care about them more than I care about everyone else. And whether that seems weird or selfish, it's true though. Let it be selfish. I need to be selfish. If I want to love myself, then I have to be selfish. And I think it's okay to be selfish. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. And right now, like, my mentality is that this wheelchair, it's my lifeline, but more than that, it's my throne. It is my throne and I am the queen. Not everyone has a throne, yeah? I have a throne. So I consider it to be a pro, not a con, if you can understand that. And I just think that the day that we start putting ourselves first and the day that we stop pushing other people down, that's the day when humanity will prevail. I'm telling you. That's the day when people will be happy and we will be joyful. So I guess this is my story and this is what I wanted to share with you. Just be happy and just go with the flow, man. This is life. There is nothing difficult about life. We make it difficult.